Greetings. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to earGROUND New Voices Amplified. My name is Plot Mhako and welcome to the program that brings you some of the amazing creatives from Zimbabwe and also artists from the motherland that are working and living outside of the country. We bring all that connection to you, and today we have the honor and the pleasure to be having a guest whose history in music as theater stretches far and wide. She has traversed the world but remained rooted in your motherland. And she has got something new that is coming up soon, but we'll be talking more about that later on. But we need to get a bit of information about her history, her background, growing up in Juba, and taken to the global stage. Silethemba Magonya, welcome to earGROUND. Unjani.
Thank you so much for having me, Nyapila. Unjani, how are you?
How good is your Shona now? You just moved to Harare, confirm.
I think spoken, I'm getting there. I can actually have a conversation. Depends on how deep the Shona is, but I can actually have a really good conversation. But on my written Shona, I'm really bad. I can't even read, though I wish I could text sometimes in Shona, but the words are just, Yeah. But I'm getting there. I'm comfortable.
Well, I applaud you for that. I feel that's one thing that I've let myself down on. I should have learned so much. I can speak very basic and can hear more, but I think I should have learned so much, and I really want to learn.
That's great. We are welcoming you into the Ndebele class.
Thank you so much. Let's take you back. You grew up in Juba, and your father was an ex-veteran, like an ex-combatant.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it was not only you who was an artist, but also your sister happens to be an artist as well.
Yes.
Take us through to that childhood, that background. What was your childhood like?
It's a beautiful childhood of any Maroccan setup, growing up in a family of 8 siblings with your mom and dad, going into the nearest school that is around home, uchikura uri around music, diverse type of music around.
Well, what kind of music was it?
My dad loves Soul Brothers. He's a big fan of Soul Brothers and Solomon Iskuza. And then my mom is more like gospel. But then you know how it is, Komaraini, Pane, Radio, Soul Brothers.
Yes.
It's playing Soul Brothers, then radio is playing something else. So as a child, you get exposed to all those genres and all those sounds. So I guess as a musician or as an artist, all those sounds contributed to what I am today in terms of my career.
Wow. So
but I'm a big fan of Lucky Dube.
A big fan of Lucky Dube. Great.
Yes.
Great.
Give me Lucky Dube, you're my best friend.
Oh, nice. So, getting exposed to such sounds, so sort of started creating your interest or developing your interest towards the performing arts.
Exactly. Yes. You get into the vibe. You could see, wow, whoever was singing on the radio, whoever they announced, which is Ningi Ningi, maybe when I grow up, they knew I want to be like this. Then the next thing was Vona, you're on the mirror or you're in front of Mama's display, maybe you're holding Mugoti, you're busy trying to imitate, I think those things kind of mold or develop us or developed me into what I am today.
And
it's
were
the
there
music
any
that I grew up around.
Great. Were there any local heroes or artists that you could look up to and say, look, this is the kind of lifestyle art that I want to pursue?
I used to like so much Beata Mangete. Most of the times when she would be on TV on these local dramas like the one on Stitcher, you would actually see yourself as this little girl, but in the Beata Mangete, but in your own version,
Wow.
She's one person I looked up to.
Great. And what was your first experience? Like, I know you learned at Popoma High, and
Yes.
Was that where you started getting yourself into?
At Popoma High, when I started already, that was 98 when I started my Form 1, I already had a bit of choir interest coming from my primary school. I remember we would do some prize giving day dramas and singing and stuff. And all I remember is I used to be this little girl who would be leading. I used to be with this girl with a sharp voice who will be singing, and some people are backing up. So I think carrying that from primary school and coming into a huge school as big as Popoma High, and then there was the culture of the school choir. I just found myself in, and I was the Form 1 in there, and I had this voice. Yeah, I think it just happened, that everything just connected. Most of my days, I wouldn't miss a choir session together with my academic lessons, but I would find myself sometimes sneaking out just to go and listen or just to be part of the choir,
And what did the community think about performing arts? Was it something that was encouraged, being a girl, or it was something that was also like looked down upon to say, oh, this is not the best, go get an education, get some formal job?
Definitely not. Even with my parents, firstly, they would not, coming from an SDA family background, Saturday will be church days where you go to church from 8 until 4 or 6 in the evening, singing praises and all these things. But then when we joined the arts, especially when we started with the Mpopoma High School Drama Club with Nkululeko and all, it meant that our Saturdays, going to church, were now Saturdays for rehearsals and other things. So there was really a struggle between parents accepting that you want to do this on a Saturday when we're supposed to go to church. And on the other hand, our parents, Pabakazoita, agree with what we wanted to do, me and my sister. They faced the challenge also of being looked as parents abangakwanisa ucontrol abantwana, they should have taught abantwana not to do this drama thing, izinto zamalema, izinto zabantu abangafundanga, all those kind of talks. But fortunately, we ended up finding a ground after they saw that this is what we wanted to do, and whatever we wanted to do kind of brought in results. So they finally had to come in and everything got balanced. And up to now, they are happy. We are all happy. And we thank God that we got to that agreement or to that final agreeing moments.
Oh, great. So coming from Popoma, was it straight into Iyasa, or there was a bridge between?
I think from Popoma, what I remember is when I wrote my O-levels, that was 2001. The drama club, the one from school, was already very famous.
Okay.
The name was already built, it was already there. So I think from when I finished the very year, I think towards the end of the year 2001, that's when the shift came from being a drama, school drama, into this professional as ensemble. So there was that kind of transformation. So we transformed from being a drama school into a more professional arts group out of school.
Wow, great. And let me take you, before we go into like your solo career, it'll be interesting to get a glimpse into what was happening within Iyasa. You guys started traveling, started touring, and you went...
The best part of my life.
How was that experience? Tell me about your first.
The first experience
time
being in the aeroplane.
Yes.
I tell you, the time when they say, please fasten up your seat belt. You don't even know where to touch. You're only hearing the clack clack sounds from the next person's around you, and you're like, haha, I'm in trouble now. If this thing just takes off and my belt is not on, I'm probably falling out, you know? And the English, you know, the tone of English, you just like, I traveled just after I finished my writing my O levels. That was 2001, and then Iyasa had its first international trip in 2002. So it just happened after school. You just know this strict English from school, you know. And then the next thing you're in a plane, and then there's someone who's like, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, would you want some coffee or tea? And you're like, what did she just say? You know, this kind of experiences, and you are put in between. Did I hear? Did she say coke? Did she say coffee? Coffee. Do I even know that? You know, those kind of experiences. But it was really great. We were all excited getting into Europe. Thanks God it wasn't winter then. I think we got there. It was about kind of March, April. It was getting warmer,
And
we stayed in. It was in Austria, in Linz. There was a festival there. So we really had great time, so much experience, getting to know that there's other languages that are not English, that are not Ndebele and Shona, different foods, different everything. Yeah, it was quite an experience.
And what did this mean to you, like growing up in Popoma, in Jube, you know, and learning at Popoma, but ultimately now you're there on the global stage. Did you see this coming? Is this something that you ever dreamt of as a kid?
No, I never imagined myself in that position. You know, sometimes when you grow up in the ghetto setup, there are things that you put barrier to yourself, perhaps because of the background you've been exposed, and you're comfortable with that. You're comfortable with what you're seeing at home and what you have, so much that you tend to block your imagination into other better levels. You're like, I'm okay, ngiright, ngihlalele enjube kuseghetto, we bought them chova, and that's it. So I really never imagined myself being in a plane, being overseas, you know, all those things. But yeah, that's why we always say we thank God. Unkulunkulu always has plans for everyone. So if he had planned that, it happened, and we praise him for everything.
But was there a moment where you felt like giving up and pursuing something else?
Especially when probably 10 or so years back, after moving from Iyasa and shifting into the circus life, the other production, there were moments where I thought, I'm getting old. I thought I was getting old because then I was about 25 or so. I hadn't really achieved much in terms of my dreams in academics. There were things I still wanted to do for myself academically. And I thought, why can't I just drop this? I've experienced this. I've seen the traveling. I've been around the countries. Okay, I've gotten the money. Well, we didn't do so much, but it was enough to get me a basic living, you know. So I thought to myself, okay, this is enough. Probably I should shift and start doing something else. But you know, when you were cut off to do something, when you were made just to do this, you lose interest in other things. Even if you were to be in class, in a lecture or anything, you wouldn't feel comfortable because that's not your territory. But give me stage, give me music, give me all this thing that says art. I knew then that this is where I belong. No matter how bad or how good it goes, I have to be here because this is where my soul and my heart rejoices. There's no place that makes me feel so comfortable than being in this arts industry. So I gave up all these other plans that I almost did, and I was like, I'm going forward. Hence the inspiration to now start working on myself, on this person. Being in productions, being in everything was great. But then as a person, you need to keep progressing. You also need to build a name for yourself if time permits.
Wow. Quite interesting. I mean, what would you say were some of the biggest lessons that you learned during your days in Iyasa, and also the other production?
I think it's basically knowing that you can't be the best. No matter how much you have this golden voice, no matter how much you have this beautiful voice, or how much you dance, or how much you do whatever, you can't be the best. What I've learned in the arts field is normally people work as a cooperative. So it's a give and take. I could be singing. There's someone who dances much better than me. There's somebody who plays the drum much better than me. There's somebody who plays the guitar much better than me. So when you combine all those special elements from these people, you bring out one thing. So I learned that it's especially when you're in a group setup, or even when you start being solo, or when you become your own brand, you can never be the best in everything. So I learned that. I think it has helped me to work together with anyone that I meet, because I've worked with artists from Tanzania, Ethiopia, you name all these places, with different cultures and different characters. So you really learn to,
Wow, great. And
you really learn to intertwine.
intertwine with other cultures. Great.
Yes.
And working with your sister Speviso, was it how was the experience, having a sibling around? Did that give you a sense of security, support,
It did.
validation?
It did very much. So much that now that we're separated, we've gone our separate ways. She's in Australia, based there now. There are times when I really miss having her around. She was a best friend, a best colleague, more than she was a sister. I would know that even if we got to arguments or we got to choose sides, I knew that she would be on my side, whether it was a wrong one. Knowing that at work or wherever you have this somebody who is always by your side, somebody who will always support you, somebody who always tell you, no, you can do it, no, you can't give up now, we can do this, we have to do this, or you can do this. So she's been a pillar of strength to me up to today. She's very accommodative and very supportive. Even just now before the interview, I was chatting, and then we did a short Skype. She's like, she's always told me, just be yourself, just be authentic, be yourself.
Yes.
If you're good, you're gonna be good. If you are bad, kubhedile nje ubhedi. So we have this kind of relationship.
Great. And what would you say has been so far the highlight of your career?
I think it's performing in Sec Phoenix production from Alain Pacheri in Paris. The fact that bigger than what I had experienced before. The audience is wow. It's a different level of productions that I've had. So that one will be my highlight in my career. And the other one will be meeting and performing at Dolly Parton's Tennessee's theme park. Just the fact that you meet this superstar who is just closer to you, and after the show they hug you and they give you this thank you, you are great thing coming from here. You feel like, what else can you want in life when Dolly Parton tells you that you are good. So that has been also one of my highlights in the career.
Wow. From my interaction with you prior to the interview and now, one thing that I picked is a deep sense of humility. You don't show it, with all these accomplishments. I know some people that possibly have done maybe a very small percentage to maybe what you have covered, but they are actually untouchable. It's difficult to even engage with them at an eye level. Their egos are probably bigger than they are. What helps you remain grounded?
First and foremost, I want to say thank you. I'm very humbled by those compliments. I think it goes back to knowing that you are the person that you are, but you are not your own. You understand what I mean? There's a God that probably made you to have these talents that you have. There's a God who is behind everything that you are doing. You don't just wake up and say, I want to sing, I want to do this, I want to be in this contract. Contracts come not because you want to be in them, but it's God who leads the way and comes back to you with results, knowing what is really best for you. So I really don't want to be this pompous. I would rather put God's name first. Let God be the one who is seen before I am seen. Because everything that I am, it is because of God. That is how I take my life, even on personal life, family life, this is how I've taken myself. This is how I live. Everything else, it is God, it's not me. If it's this voice that I have, I wouldn't have invented a voice and kind of connected it to my soul or anything. But it's God who made it, and He had a plan why He gives me this voice. And up to today, His plan is still going on because this is what He wanted of me. So it's not me, it's God.
Wow, it's not me, it's God. That is powerful.
Yes.
And let's move a bit faster, a bit further, like to your
Okay.
solo career, pursue your own solo career. How's been the experience so far, and when was this?
It's been great, but with challenges there. Why I say challenges, it's because you are always in productions where there's somebody who writes music, there's somebody who does everything. You are only being told, do this, sing like this, don't do this, do this. But right, this moment is when you are almost doing everything. Uwedwa. Perhaps you are the one who is writing down the lyrics, you are the one who is writing down everything. So sometimes, even when you are planning things, you're like, will I ever manage? Am I really good enough?
Yes.
What will be the outcome? So that has been a challenge that perhaps at some point made me to say, you know what,
Mhm.
the singing can just wait. Let me just continue with whatever contracts that come. I'll be just coming and going and do whatever that needs to be done. This solo thing, it's never going to work. I'm probably not good enough for it. And also, perhaps at some point, you would have met people that make you feel like, and then you kind of step back and say, if this person has said this about me, I'm not good enough. So, but then there's always that little voice that speaks to you and says, you're not going to listen to who said what about you. Whoever you have what you have, and you have to take it out. Good or bad, just take it out. The world will judge it. When it's out, so don't limit yourself because somebody said this. Don't limit yourself because your imagination is telling you can't reach this far. So I had to fight that demon. I had it in my soul. I had to fight it. Then when I fought it and I prayed about it and I felt it's gone, I started working on writing my own music, creating stuff and communicating with the band guys that I work with, the band from Tanzania, just checking with them that if I have created this melody, does it work? Iyasebenza, and working with them, consulting with them, everything. So this is how the inspiration of the solo thing came out. I've been writing, I think, for over 5 years now. If you take my
Right.
phone, that is one thing. That's why I always don't want to I don't want to not have my, because
Because you're writing
sometimes,
music.
sometimes a melody comes in your head. The only next thing that you can record it or write it down, you obviously have to record it. Maybe it's you just have to get the phone and do it on the phone so that you keep it there and then you start working on it whenever. So if there's one thing I can't live without, it's my phone for those purposes. And then I have this big counter book. It looks like it was picked up centuries ago. That's where I write and jot down everything. If you look at
Wow.
it, you wouldn't understand it. I'm the only one who understands it because I know what is this, what is that.
What is that?
So I've been creating my work from that, from recording melodies on the phone, writing words on the book, getting some spare time alone, going back to the melodies and trying to, this is how I've created. I don't know if it's the way it's done. I don't know, but this is how I did it. We are
Well,
yet to see if it yields results.
great. Interesting that you mentioned writing songs, and I was watching a video of Diamond Platinum, and they were recording a song,
Yes.
and Diamond Platinum was holding a counter book, quite
Mm-hmm.
old, but this is where some of the lyrics were, right? And then I then connected to conversations that I've heard from the younger generation of artists who say, look, I don't write anything, I just get into the studio, I hear the beat, and I start singing. At times I have to write my lyrics backwards when the song is already out. Why is it important for an artist to compose, write their music, and have the lyrics down?
I think basically it's for to make sure that you are keeping real to what you've created, because when you create, there's no time when you sit down and say, namuhla ngo 12 o'clock ngifuna ukuhlala everandini and I'm starting to create. These things come, and sometimes you create something, it comes and it goes, and when you try to go back to it, it's not there. So when in my view, when I write things down or when I record things down, it helps me to work much easier, much better. Otherwise, I wouldn't have anything now. So me, personally, it has helped me to keep my stuff, to memorize my stuff. If I'd written something on my book, maybe it's just like hamba 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 hamba. When I go back to it, when I see the hamba hamba, the memory just comes back somehow, and then you are free to develop from that. So this is my honor. I don't want to generalize it for everyone, but this is how I've done it. I hope it works.
Great. And Buya Kimi, is that your first project? Solo
Sorry?
project? Buya Kimi.
Yes, Buya. Okay, I'm teaching you now. We are teaching you in the village.
Yes,
It's not
please.
it's not Buya Kimi. It's Buya Gimi.
Buya?
Buya Gimi. The K is not key. Yeah, Buya.
Oh, really?
Buya Gimi.
Buya Himi. And what does that mean? It's like
come to me, Chidzoka Kwandiri. Yeah, come back to me, Chidzoka Kwandiri.
Ah, okay. What's the other word for Himi?
For?
Like Kwandiri. There's another word, right?
Yes, Chidzoka Kwandiri. Yeah, I think so. Buya Gimi, Chidzoka Kwandiri, Uya Kwandiri.
And what let's say if you want to say the same phrase, what's the is there like an easier phrase?
We're not doing it easy. We want you to learn it. It's Buya Gimi. We are not making it easy. Yes, Buya Gimi.
Wozalapa.
Yes, Wozalapa, but we want it to be Buya Gimi so that you can learn it.
But is it the same? Does it have the same meaning as Wozalapa?
It has the same meaning, but in this context, it will be different.
Okay, I get you.
Yes, the meaning would be the same, but in this context, your song, it will be different when you say Wozalapa.
Okay.
It would totally mean something different.
Mean something else. Oh,
yes.
Great. I've learned one lesson today, and thanks a lot for that.
You're a good student.
Great. Is this your first solo project?
Yes, this is the song actually is extracted. Is it correct English?
Yeah.
It's extracted from from my upcoming full album. It should be out early next year. So it's just a piece of what we have in the pipeline.
And how do you describe your music?
Because the songs, it's gonna be an 8-track album. The songs or the sound, it has so many sounds infused in it. So I didn't want to confine myself into saying
a particular sound.
So I just said it's Afrofusion. From the way I listen and understand it, it's got so many sounds, like contemporary mixed with some traditional Southern African sounds and some Western Eastern. So I just called it Afrofusion because I felt like it's,
Great. And if you look at the music trends now, there's so much, pop that's coming through. Is this something that you also going to experiment with, or you're going to include, or you're going to keep it strictly Afro fusion, Afro?
I think when you're starting, like I'm starting on this solo thing, you really can't say I'm strictly going to do this sound only. Yes. As you start, perhaps I'm going to find a sound that I'm going to, I don't know how to explain it, but I when you're starting, you can't just say, this is what I'm going to do forever and I'm done. Perhaps in the next project, I'm going to explore other sounds, other genres. I'm going to explore so many things. And also, as you work with people, there's so much input that comes in. And when you hear that something is something that sounds good, you really have no choice but to to work with what is there. So in future, maybe we're singing rock, maybe we're doing rumba, you know, you never know.
Maybe Zim Dancer.
Maybe Zim Dancehall, you know, you never know.
Great.
The space is too big to explore, Saka. You don't want to put yourself in a corner. When you try to lift up, they'll be like, she told us she's not moving. Saka, we're keeping the spaces open.
Great. 5 years from now, where do we see you?
We're seeing the Silethemba name grown. We're seeing the music perhaps gone beyond regional borders. That's what we're working on. We're probably seeing more projects coming up, more collaborations coming up. You never know. I always told myself, you never know. But we see the name growing bigger.
Right. And when you're
God willing.
God willing, definitely.
Yes.
When you're not making music and when you're listening to not just your music, other music, who's on your playlist right now? Which maybe 5 artists would you say these are?
I have Lucky Dube.
Okay.
I have Lucky Dube. He utilizes all my space on music. And then I have Sona, so I don't know, it's Sona or Sonia Jobeth, the Gambia Kora player. That woman does it for me, especially the Gambia song.
Gambia, yeah.
Percussion, the marriage between the percussion and her kora, she does it for me. And then of course there's amapiano, there's mafikizolo and all, but Lucky Dube comes first. When I'm cooking in the kitchen, I make sure that I close all doors, my speaker is at high blast, I close windows, and I'm busy there and I'm sweating.
Great. And do you still dance?
Oh, I can, but I think fitness-wise, Corona is made us get stuck in the homes, you know, eating a lot of sadza, you know. So angeke ngithi angisakwanisi, but I think given a sport, I could still, but with some bit of fitness put in there. I need to just up my game in terms of fitness. I've been sitting at home forever.
Great. Lastly, before we close the interview, it be said that we end the program without getting even a snippet, you know, a sample of your forthcoming single, maybe just an acapella, just and then everybody wants to listen to it. Where do they access it? Your Spotify, iTunes, YouTube?
Yeah, it's basically going to be out on the 11th of this December. I think this Friday, about midnight or so. It's going to be available in most of these digital stores. I'll probably send out links when it's out.
Yeah.
So I must say I'm happy and I'm humbled to have been hosted by you guys. Thank you so much for having me here. Yeah, maybe I'm going to try in a cappella.
Great. So stay tuned as we get a small a cappella and then we close up the program. Thanks for watching.
Ungawuphi isandla sami ngohlala ngilindile mina nawe sathembisana isandla sami ungawuphi isandla sami ngohlala ngilindile mina nawe sathembisana isandla sami. We don't want to say much. The song is coming out in a few days, so stay tuned.
Wow, great. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Nice. We are excited because we managed to get, you know, a bit of the song before everybody else hears it. And it only happens on earGROUND.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. I'm humbled. Thanks for hosting me.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much to everybody who's been watching. And a big shout out to Bruce Ngube, Umgani for posting about you. This is where I did manage to see your name, and then I started researching and I was like, wow, we need to have this artist on our program.
I call him Ubuddhas. We call each other Buddhas now. You know, much as we don't connect so much on social media, you know, but we have this strong connection. The fact that we come from the same Jube, his home and my home is not far away. So we, behind the scenes, we have this strong connection. So when he saw this thing coming out, well, initially when I'd created just the instruments, he's the first person I sent. And then he
Oh,
told me
nice.
whatever he told me. So I sent him the song before talking about it. And then he was like, can you send something? We need to post. We need to talk about it now. I mean, we can't let this down.
Great.
So me and him, we have this behind the scene connection. We don't talk much on this social media, but
Yes.
he's a great buddy to me. I call him Buddhas. He's my best friend.
Wow, that is awesome. I mean, great that the circle is becoming bigger and the connection is actually happening. So, yeah, for everybody who's watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, the 18th of December, we have the biggest, the mother of all concerts happening in Harare, Ja Preza, Winky D at the HICC. Very limited tickets. You can get them very, very limited. You remember the lockdown situation, but you can also get a chance to watch it online using the pay-per-view platform by Gateway Stream. Just simply go on gatewaystream.com and then you look for the events there and you're able to see the link and the link in the bio so that you're able to buy the tickets and get the front seat, support the artists. We cannot continue watching the artists perform for free. We have to give them something so that they maintain their livelihood and their craft grows. Right. Wow. Until next time, stay tuned to earGROUND, New Voices Amplified. My name is Plot Mhako and I'm out.